Good morning, dear friends. In last lecture, we completed regarding CNS stimulants or analgesics. Now, today we start with the last chapter under drugs acting on central nervous system, that is skeletal muscle relaxants. Skeletal muscle relaxants are also called as antispasmicity agent. These agents are also called as antispasmicity agent, or remember another name that these agents also called as neuromuscular blocking agents. Neuromuscular blocking agents, or another name that is anti-Parkinsonism agent. Remember other names, that is skeletal muscle relaxant are also called as antispasmicity agent or neuromuscular blocking agent, or also known as anti-Parkinsonism drugs. Now, as the name itself indicating that skeletal muscle relaxant, that this agent produces muscle relaxation. You know that whenever there is a operation, surgery take place, maybe bronchoscopy, laryngoscopy or abdominal surgery occurs, that time muscle relaxation is very important. आपण ऑलरेडी जनरल एनेस्थेटिक मध्ये बघितलं की that whenever anesthetic agent before surgery, anesthetic agent given to the patient or surgery take place under anesthesia condition. So under this condition, skeletal muscle relaxation, that is the ideal requirement for anesthesia. Okay, all muscles should be paralyzed. So in order to paralyze these muscles or to produce relaxation effect on muscles, skeletal muscle relaxant drugs are used. Or another name, that is antispasmicity. First you should know that what is spasm. Spasm, that is nothing but contractions of muscles. Spasm, that is nothing but contractions of muscles. पण जेव्हा आपले मसल्स खेचले जातात, आपण एखादं काम करतो किंवा चमक भरली जाते, दुखणं असतं, that is contraction of muscle. Muscle जेव्हा contractile होतात त्यावेळेस पेन होते, isn't it? So that spasm that is nothing but contractions of muscle. And in order to reduce this contractions of muscle, unwanted contractions of muscle, whatever the drug are used, that agent, that is called as antispasmicity. Anti means against spasmicity. You understand that spasm is contractions of muscle. जेव्हा muscle tightening होईल त्यावेळेस आपले muscle एकदम tight होते, stiffness होणार, isn't it? In that condition, whatever the drug used, that relieve contractions of muscles, thereby produces relaxation effect on muscles, and therefore that agent, that is called as antispasmicity agent. Anti means against spasm. That those drugs used to reduces unwanted contractions of muscles, or those drugs produces relaxation effect on muscle, that is called as antispasmicity agent. These agents acting through neuromuscular action, therefore neuromuscular blocking agent. These agents are also used in Parkinsonism condition and therefore called as anti-Parkinsonism. So majorly you remember what are skeletal muscle relaxant or what are antispasmicity agent, that these are the drugs used to reduces unwanted spasm, reduces contractions of muscles without affecting to consciousness condition. Consciousness condition ना affect न करता and without affecting to इनवॉलंटरी मूवमेंट्स ऑफ मसल्स, की मसलची मूवमेंटला चेंज न करता, बेशुद्ध न करता पेशंटचे काय करते, रिलॅक्सेशन इफेक्ट ऑन मसल्स प्रोड्यूस करते किंवा अनवॉन्टेड स्पाझम रिलीव्ह करते. देयरफॉर दैट एजेंट, that is called as skeletal muscle relaxant or antispasmicity agent. Very simple definition. पाठ सुद्धा करायची गरज नाही. That as the name itself indicating that these are the drugs, these are the pharmacological agent that reduces unwanted spasm. Whatever the unwanted spasmicity, की जी आपल्या मसलची कॉन्ट्रॅक्टर झाली त्याला रिड्यूस करण्याचं काम करतात, thereby produces relaxation effect on skeletal muscles and without affecting to consciousness. ये रिलॅक्सेशन इफेक्ट ऑन स्केलेटल मसल कसे प्रोड्यूस करतात की कुठले बेशुद्ध न करता, विदाउट अफेक्टिंग कॉन्शियसनेस अँड विदाउट अफेक्टिंग इनवॉलंटरी मुवमेंट्स, की आपल्या बॉडीच्या मुवमेंट्स न थांबवता रिलॅक्सेशन इफेक्ट प्रोड्यूस करतात. देयरफॉर दैट एजेंट, that is to be called as skeletal muscle relaxant drug. Now second point, that is classification. These drugs are broadly classified into different In that first type, that those drug acting centrally, that is those drug by acting on central nervous system produces skeletal muscle relaxation effect. Example, diazepam, phenobarbital and baclofen. This is the first type, that these agent reduces unwanted spasm by acting on central nervous system, therefore called as centrally acting. Example, diazepam, phenobarbital and baclofen. Second type, that those drug acting at peripherally at neuromuscular junction, that these drug produces action at the neuromuscular junction. Example, defibrocurarin, mecamylamine, decamethonium, etc. These drugs acting peripherally at neuromuscular junction. Example, defibrocurarin, mecamylamine and decamethonium. Third type, anti-Parkinsonism agent. That is those agents used in treatment of Parkinsonism condition, that is anti-Parkinsonism agent. Example, levodopa and amantadine. Fourth type, that is chlorhexidine compound. Example, that is mefensin group, belonging to mefensin group. Example, chlorhexidine. Even in today's practice of medicine, in most of the drug like diclofenac with para with chlorhexidine combinations available in market, or ibuprofen with paracetamol and chlorhexidine. This combination reduce the pain as well as produces muscle relaxation. So nowadays in market, Flexon MR tablet available in market that containing chlorhexidine content. Even Intalgesic MR available in market, it also contains diclofenac with chlorhexidine, isn't it? And last type, miscellaneous compound. Example, dantrolene. So this is the full classification of skeletal muscle relaxation. Sometimes they may be asked full question for 3 or 4 marks, that what are skeletal muscle relaxation or what are antispasmicity agent. Classify with example and mention clinical uses of this skeletal muscle relaxant drug. So this muscle relaxant drug, as the name itself indicates, that these drugs are used to process muscle relaxation during surgery. Before surgery, these agents are going to be given, particularly acting as pre-anesthetic medication. That is, before administration of anesthetic agent, these drugs are given. For example, defibrocurarin injection given in order to produce relaxation of skeletal muscle, and that after that there is anesthetic agent given, and then surgery is going to be carried out. Means what? These agents are used as a pre-anesthetic medication, particularly in abdominal surgery, laryngoscopy, pharyngoscopy, muscle relaxation is going to be required. So that time these agents that is used as a muscle relaxant drug. In addition to this, also used in treatment of electroconvulsion therapy. These drugs are also used in treatment of electroconvulsion therapy, particularly in convulsions of tetanic convulsions. In addition to this, also used in strychnine poisoning. Whenever there is a strychnine poisoning occurs, it causes severe contractions of muscle because of strychnine, that is alcohol drug that produces contraction of muscle. Muscle एकदम ठिसूळ होऊन जातं, जाड होऊन जातं. In that condition, generally these drugs are used. They are used in strychnine poisoning or drug-induced poisoning condition. So whenever there is a poisoning occurs, alcohol poisoning, there is severe contractions of muscle. कि muscle एकदम ठिसूळ होऊन जातं. In that condition, in order to produce relaxation effect, these drugs are effective. So useful in strychnine poisoning or in drug-induced convulsions. So these are the uses of skeletal muscle relaxant. So for 4 marks, they may be asked question that what are skeletal muscle relaxant or what are antispasmicity agent. Classify with example and mention therapeutic uses of this or clinical uses of skeletal muscle relaxant. So you understand, very simple, that skeletal muscle relaxant or antispasmicity are those agents which reduces unwanted spasm or which reduces unwanted spasmicity. Spasm, that is nothing but contractions of muscles. So these agents when given reduces unwanted spasm or spasmicity without affecting with consciousness. This word is also important, that without affecting consciousness and without affecting involuntary movement. कि आपल्या movement ला हात न लावता हे drug muscle relaxation करतात. Therefore, such agents are called as skeletal muscle relaxant or antispasmicity agent. These agents broadly classified into 4 types. There are 5 types of skeletal muscle relaxant. One, that is those acting centrally. By acting on central nervous system, produces muscle relaxation effect. Example are diazepam, phenobarbital, paclofen. Then second type, neuromuscular junction, acting at peripherally at neuromuscular junction. Example D-tubocuralin, becamylamine, decamethonium. Then anti-Parkinsonism agent, example levodopa and amantadine. Fourth type, mephensin group, chlorhexazone and miscellaneous compound, that is dantrolene. So all these drugs are used as skeletal muscle relaxant or antispasmodic agent. Now where these agents are used, what are the clinical uses? First thing, that these agents used to produce muscle relaxation, skeletal muscle relaxation. Also used as pre-anesthetic medication in particularly abdominal surgery or bronchoscopy, laryngoscopy. These agents given before administration of anesthetic agent in order to process good skeletal muscle relaxation. Also used in treatment of electroconvulsion therapy, particularly conversions of tetany. Another use, that used in strychnine poisoning or drug-induced convulsion. drug-induced convulsions attack. In that patient, these drugs used to produce muscle relaxation. So this is the full question, that define and classify and skeletal muscle relaxation and mention their clinical uses. Isn't it? Now another important one, that D-tubocuralin, the dose, route of administration, one important use which आला जातो. Second, write a note on anti-Parkinsonism or what is Parkinsonism, classify the drug used in Parkinsonism. Then remember the dose of chlorhexazone. So let us start. Already we completed that regarding drug acting on central nervous system, that is diazepam, phenobarbital, paclofen. These drugs by acting on central nervous system produces hypnotic and sedative action. In addition to this, also produces muscle relaxation, that is skeletal muscle relaxation. Now the second type, that is those drugs acting peripherally at neuromuscular junction, that is D-tubocuralin. This is important one. In most of the question paper they will ask mention dose with route of administration and one important use. So D-tubocuralin drug, it is used in the dose of 3 mg per kg of body weight by intravenous route of administration. So this is the dose, this is the route of administration. Where what is the use? That these drugs are used as skeletal muscle relaxant. D-tubocuralin drug used as skeletal muscle relaxant. Before administration of anesthetic agent, these drugs given in order to produce a good skeletal muscle relaxation, which is desired for operations or before surgery. So it is used in the dose of 3 mg per kg of body weight by IV route, and use that it is used as a skeletal muscle relaxant to produce good muscle relaxation to the patient before administration of anesthetic agent in surgery or in operation. This agent given before operation or before surgery. Now the side effect of D-tubocuralin, that when this drug given, it may lead to produces hypotension, decreases blood pressure and heart rate, and also produces hypoxia condition, that is decreases oxygen capacity of patient and also causes the paralysis of respiratory paralysis, that is paralysis of respiratory system. So these are the side effect or adverse effect. एखादा पूर्ण क्वेश्चन विचारला जातो. Mention dose, route of administration, one important use and one important side effect. So 3 mg per kg of body weight by intravenous route of administration, used as a skeletal muscle relaxation during operations, surgery, or used as a pre-anesthetic medication. Then side effect or adverse effect, that it produces hypotension, hypoxia and paralysis of respiratory system. So this is second type of skeletal muscle relaxant. Third important one, that is anti-Parkinsonism agent. Sometimes they will be asked, write a note on anti-Parkinsonism drug or what is Parkinsonism, classify the drug used in Parkinsonism. Now first see what is Parkinsonism. Anti-Parkinsonism, as the name itself indicating, that these are the drugs used in treatment of Parkinsonism. Now Parkinsonism, it is nothing but it is a neurological old age disease, particularly occurs in old age people. It is a neurological old age disease, occurs due to deficiency of dopamine. When dopamine concentration falls below normal, already we completed under psychopharmacological agent. That dopamine, that is a biogenic amine, isn't it? When dopamine level, certain concentration of these biogenic amines is very important to carry out the different functions. But whenever there is a deficiency of dopamine occurs, when dopamine concentration decreases than normal, it leads to produces symptoms that is akinesia. Akinesia, tremor, rigidity, excessive salivation in patient, then abnormal swelling occurs at any part of the body, mentally depression condition occurs in patient, and as well as produces emotional condition. These group of common symptoms that is called as Parkinsonism. म्हाताऱ्या लोकांमध्ये तुम्ही बघितलं असेल जनरली हात करत असतात. हे कशामुळे होतं? दॅट इज ड्यू टू द डिक्रीज इन लेवल ऑफ डोपामाइन. डोपामाइनचं कॉन्सन्ट्रेशन जेव्हा नॉर्मल पेक्षा कमी होणार आहे, दॅट लीड्स टू प्रोसेस दिस सिम्पटम दॅट इज अकायनेशिया. अकायनेशिया दॅट इज पुअर व्हॉलंटरी मूवमेंट, की हातपायांची जी मूवमेंट असते ती कमी होते, ती स्लो होते. म्हाताऱ्या लोकांना तुम्ही बघत असाल, म्हातारे लोक पळत नाही, त्यांची मूवमेंट स्लो असते. का असते? नॅचरली दिस इज अ न्यूरोलॉजिकल ओल्ड एज. दिस occurs due to dopamine. की डोपामाइनचं कॉन्सन्ट्रेशन जर कमी झालं तर अकायनेशिया कंडिशन होणार आहे, म्हणजे पुअर व्हॉलंटरी मूवमेंट पेशंट मध्ये दिसते. ट्रिमर, रिजिडिटी, देयर इज ए डिफनेस ऑफ जॉइंट्स मे ऑकर्स, एक्सेसिव्ह सलायव्हेशन, स्वेलिंग ऑन एनी पार्ट ऑफ द बॉडी, कुठल्याही भागाला स्वेलिंग येऊन जाईल, सुजिंग, isn't it? And mentally depression occurs, emotional condition take place. These are all group of common symptoms that is called as Parkinsonism condition. And particularly म्हाताऱ्या लोकांना तुम्ही बघत असाल की अशा हात करतात. त्याला रिझनच आहे की दॅट बिकॉज ऑफ न्यूरोलॉजिकल कंडिशन dopamine level falls below normal. In order to treat this Parkinsonism symptom, all the symptom of Parkinsonism condition, whatever the drug used, that drug that is called as anti-Parkinsonism agent. Now these anti-Parkinsonism agent classified into different types. In that first type, that is levodopa precursor, dopamine precursor. First type, dopamine precursor. Precursor that is used as a raw material for synthesis of dopamine. Isn't it? So dopamine precursor, example levodopa. Second type, that is those drugs facilitating dopaminergic transmission. Facilitating dopaminergic transmission. काही ड्रग असे असतात that increasing the release and synthesis of dopamine. So that is facilitating dopaminergic transmission. Example, amantadine. Third type, that is called as acetylcholine antagonist, that inhibiting the action of acetylcholine and thereby promoting synthesis of dopamine. So acetylcholine antagonist, example, benzoatropine. Benzoatropine compound, that is acetylcholine antagonist. Then fourth type, that some drug produces mimic action, similar action that mimic the action of dopamine, similar action as like dopamine. Example, bromocriptine and selaginine. These drugs produces similar action as like dopamine, and therefore these drugs are also used in treatment of Parkinsonism. So this is the classification of anti-Parkinsonism agent. Sometimes they will ask, what is Parkinsonism condition? Classify the drug used in treatment of Parkinsonism. So you understand that Parkinsonism, it is a condition that is a neurological old age disease, occurs due to deficiency of dopamine. When this biological amine level, dopamine concentration decreases than normal, deficiency of dopamine occurs than normal, then it leads to produce the symptom. What are the symptoms? That it produces akinesia, that is poor voluntary movement, tremor, rigidity, swelling in any part of the body, excessive salivation takes place in patient, mentally depression condition occurs, emotional condition takes place, stiffness of joint occurs. That group of common symptoms, that is called as Parkinsonism. And in order to treat this Parkinsonism condition, whatever the drug used, that drug are called as anti-Parkinsonism agent. So these drugs classified into four types. In that first type, that is dopamine precursor. Precursor that is used as a raw material for synthesis of dopamine. Directly dopamine should not be given in Parkinsonism. Dopamine precursor, that is levodopa. Levodopa, that is the drug used in treatment of Parkinsonism condition. By the mechanism that used as a dopamine precursor. Second type, that is those drugs facilitating dopamine transmission. कि काही ड्रग असे असतात की that promoting synthesis or release of dopamine in body. So example, amantadine. Third, acetylcholine antagonist, example benzoatropine. and fourth type that some drug produces mimic action, similar action as like dopamine. Dopamine ची जशी action आहे तशी action produce करतात. Example that is bromocriptine and selagalin. So this is the classification of anti-Parkinsonism drug. Now let us see first drug, levodopa. Levodopa, that is the best drug used in treatment of Parkinsonism condition in the dose of 250 to 500 milligram. Generally levodopa used in the dose of 250 to 500 milligram. Now why directly dopamine should not be given in treatment of Parkinsonism? This due reason may be asked. You understand that levodopa, that is acting as a dopamine precursor, that is acting as a raw material for synthesis of dopamine. Acting as a prodrug, levodopa already we completed under general pharmacology that levodopa acting as a prodrug. That is as such become inactive, but when given after administration, after metabolism, it form active product, and therefore such a drug are called as prodrug or acting as a precursor. So why directly dopamine should not be given? Sometimes they will ask in revision question that why directly dopamine not given in treatment of Parkinsonism? Because Parkinsonism offers due to deficiency of dopamine. Even levodopa after metabolism convert to dopamine. But why directly dopamine should not be given to Parkinsonism patient? Or this Parkinsonism condition may not be satisfied by direct administration of dopamine. Due reason. Like this question may be asked. So the reason is that if this dopamine drug given directly to Parkinsonism patient by oral route of administration, it is metabolized by MAO enzyme. Monoamino oxidase enzyme may causes inactivation of dopamine if given by oral route. Thereby inactivation takes place through MAO enzyme if given by oral route. Or if this dopamine given by parenteral route, then because of low lipid solubility may not be crosses blood-brain barrier. It doesn't produce any action on central nervous system because of low lipid solubility, and therefore directly dopamine should not be given. To understand that why directly dopamine not used in Parkinsonism, there are two reasons. First reason that if dopamine given directly by oral route, it is inactivated by MAO enzyme present in GIT. की जे मोनोअमाइन ऑक्सिडेज एंजाइम आपल्या बॉडी मध्ये टिश्यूज मध्ये असतात किंवा सेल्स मध्ये असतात ते काय करतील इनएक्टिवेशन ऑफ डोपामाइन means not effective by oral. If given by parenteral it may not crosses blood brain barrier because of low lipid solubility. It does not produce any action on central nervous system, and hence dopamine directly should not be given to the patient. When levodopa given, levodopa acting as a raw material, acting as a precursor. This levodopa easily crosses blood-brain barrier, reaches to central nervous system, and then it converted into dopamine. After entry into the blood-brain barrier, it converted into dopamine, and that dopamine deficiency recovered with this compound, and therefore directly dopamine should not be given or in Parkinsonism condition, or dopamine deficiency may not be satisfied by direct administration of dopamine. There is only the treatment that levodopa should be given. Levodopa, that is acting as a prodrug, that is acting as a raw material, that is acting as a precursor for synthesis of dopamine. Isn't it? So levodopa is used in the dose of 250 to 500 milligram by oral route. Similarly, another drug that is amantadine. Amantadine actually it is an antiviral drug used in treatment of viral infection. But when this drug given, it facilitating dopaminergic transmission. It increases release of dopamine in body and thereby recover dopamine deficiency and used in treatment of Parkinsonism. Generally, amantadine used in the dose of 100 milligram by oral route of administration. So, amantadine that facilitating dopaminergic transmission in body in the dose of 100 milligram. Then already another example that those drug inhibiting action of acetylcholine, that is benzoatropine, basically under autonomic nervous system. And some drug produces similar action as like dopamine and thereby used in dopamine deficiency condition, that is bromocriptine and selagalin. So this is the full short note. What is Parkinsonism? Classify the drug or write a note on anti-Parkinsonism. That time you supposed to mention what is Parkinsonism, symptoms of Parkinsonism, then definition of anti-Parkinsonism, classification. Then you supposed to mention doses of levodopa, amantadine. Why directly dopamine should not be given in treatment of Parkinsonism? You understand there are two reasons. that why this question definitely asks that why this dopamine should not be given directly, because if given by oral route, it is inactivated by MAO enzyme. If given by parenteral, because of low lipid solubility, it does not process blood-brain barrier, doesn't process any action, and therefore dopamine precursor, that is levodopa, is used. Another revision question here. Sometimes they will be asked why dopamine or levodopa. This levodopa should not be given along with reserpine or with phenothiazine drug. Levodopa drug. Suppose you know that reserpine and phenothiazine, these drugs are used as antipsychotic agent used in treatment of psychosis and schizophrenia, already completed by the mechanism that these drugs affecting our dopamine receptor, it decreases the dopamine concentration. Now you know that levodopa that is used in Parkinsonism, that increases concentration of dopamine. Suppose if the patient suffering from psychosis condition and also Parkinsonism condition, and physician is prescribed separately for psychosis condition reserpine or phenothiazine, that is used as antipsychotic drug, and levodopa that is used in Parkinsonism. But this combination should not be given to the patient. What is the reason? The reason is that you know that reserpine or phenothiazine drug acting as antipsychotic agent, by the mechanism that these drugs decreases the level of catecholamine, that is decreases the level of dopamine deficiency. It blocks the action of dopamine and thereby decreases dopamine concentration in body. While levodopa acting as an anti-Parkinsonism agent by increasing concentration of dopamine. Already in Parkinsonism condition there is a deficiency of dopamine. If reserpine and phenothiazine given, further deficiency of dopamine take place and may produce further this symptom. To overcome this, it should not be given along with levodopa and reserpine or levodopa and phenothiazine drug, because it blocks the action of levodopa. Levodopa acts by increasing dopamine concentration, while phenothiazine and reserpine drug act by decreasing the level of dopamine. There is the opposite action, and therefore this drug should not be given in combination in treatment of Parkinsonism. Already in Parkinsonism there is a deficiency of dopamine, and therefore this combination is not useful, isn't it? So this is another important revision which may be asked. So here we will finish last chapter under drugs acting on central nervous system. So up till now we completed only two chapters. One is to be general pharmacology section and second one is to be drugs acting on central nervous system. There are about 7 to 8 chapters under CNS and 4 chapters under general pharmacology. So till today we completed the syllabus of first session theory exam. आजपर्यंत आपला जो सिलेबस झाला आहे 10, 11, 12 चॅप्टर जे काही झालेले आहे हे सगळे सिलेबस कशासाठी राहणार तुमच्या फर्स्ट सेशन थेरी एक्झामसाठी राहणार आहे. मे बी प्रॉबेबली नोव्हेंबर महिन्यामध्ये तुमची फर्स्ट सेशन थेरी एक्झाम येऊ शकते. बोर्डाकडून जसे टाइम टेबल येईल, ज्या पद्धतीने गाईडलाईन्स येतील त्या आम्ही तुम्हाला इंटिमेट करणार, त्या इन्फॉर्म करणार. त्यानुसार एक्झाम आयदर मे बी ऑफलाईन और ऑनलाईन होईल. आता परवा तुम्हाला नोटीस दिली आहे की तुम्हाला सायमल्टेनियसली सेकंड इन्स्टॉलमेंट ऑफ फी सुद्धा भरायची आहे. तर कॉलेजला येऊन चलन घेऊन कुठल्याही विद्यार्थी वंचित राहायला नको. सगळ्यांनी फी भरायची आहे, अदरवाईज तुम्हाला सेशनलला बसू दिलं जाणार नाही. तर कृपया सगळ्यांनी ही फी सर्व लक्षात ठेवायचं. या वीकपर्यंत अप टू सॅटर्डे और अप टू नेक्स्ट मंडेपर्यंत तुम्हाला फी सुद्धा कॉलेजची जी सेकंड इन्स्टॉलमेंट आहे ती भरायची आहे. लगेच इमिजिएटली सेशनलचं जसे टाइम टेबल येईल तुम्हाला इंटिमेट केलं जाईल. आता याच्यापर्यंत आतापर्यंत जी आपण पहिली ट्युटोरियल घेतली ती जनरल फार्माकॉलॉजी करत होती. तुम्ही बघितलं असेल की मिनिमम इन ॲन्युअल एक्झामिनेशन 15 ते 20 मार्काला त्याच्यावरती क्वेश्चन विचारले जातात. तसंच आता मी तुम्हाला उद्या किंवा परवा परत एक ट्युटोरियलचे क्वेश्चन देणार आहे. हे जे आपण ड्रग्ज ॲक्टिंग ऑन CNS झालेलं आहे त्याच्यावरती जवळजवळ 13-14 क्वेश्चन देणार आहे. ते सगळे क्वेश्चन्स एका नोटबुकमध्ये आन्सर लिहायचे सेपरेटली. कुणीही कोणाची कॉपी करायची नाही. आम्हाला लक्षात येईल वर्डिंग करून. तर ज्या नोट्स आहेत त्याच्यावरून व्यवस्थित तुम्हाला जेवढं लिहिता येईल त्या पद्धतीने ट्युटोरियल लिहायची आणि ती PDF तयार करून मला सेपरेटली व्हॉट्सअप करायची माझ्या नंबरवरती. माझा जो सेपरेट नंबर आहे ग्रुपवरती न टाकता प्रत्येकाने ते व्हॉट्सअप करायचं आहे PDF करून. जे काही तुम्ही आणि जे टायमिंग राहणार आहे, सपोज मी 12 वाजता सांगितलं 12 ते 1:30 मध्ये तुमचं ट्युटोरियल कंप्लीट व्हायचं. मॅक्झिमम 2 वाजेपर्यंत कुठल्याही परिस्थितीत मला PDF तुमची यायला पाहिजे. ज्या विद्यार्थ्यांची PDF 2 तासाच्या आत येणार नाही त्यांचा सेशनला सुद्धा प्रॉब्लेम येऊ शकतो. तर ही ट्युटोरियल हे जे क्वेश्चन्स आहेत हे इम्पॉर्टंट आहेत. हे क्वेश्चन्स याच्यातूनच तुम्हाला सेशनलमध्ये येऊ शकतात आणि फर्स्ट ट्युटोरियल जे घेत होतं त्याच्यातले सुद्धा क्वेश्चन असे हे सगळे क्वेश्चन कंबाईन केले तर याच्यातूनच तुमची फर्स्ट सेशनल थेरी एक्झाम राहणार. सो यू प्रिपेअर्ड वेल आणि त्याच्या इन्स्ट्रक्शन मी तुम्हाला ऑलरेडी दिलेला आहे. ट्युटोरियल उद्या नाही तर परवा आता CNS कंप्लीट झालं याच्यावरती पूर्ण CNSच्या चॅप्टरचे ट्युटोरियलचे क्वेश्चन मी परवा टाकल्यानंतर 2 तासाच्या आत मला सेपरेट व्हॉट्सअप नंबरवरती तुमच्या PDF मिळायला पाहिजे. सो ऑल ऑफ यू कीप इन माइंड अँड बी प्रिपेअर्ड. सगळ्यांनी कोणाची कॉपी नाही तर पूर्ण मला लक्षात येईल तुम्ही कुठून लिहिलंय कोणाचं हँडरायटिंग आहे. हँडरायटिंग तुमचं सगळ्यांचं मी ओळखतो त्यामुळे तुमच्या हँडरायटिंगमध्ये सगळे क्वेश्चन्स दिले गेले पाहिजे, आन्सर्स व्यवस्थित दिले गेले पाहिजे. जेवढे येईल न बघता लिहिण्याचा प्रयत्न करा जेणेकरून तुमचं प्रॅक्टिस होईल आणि हेच क्वेश्चन इम्पॉर्टंट आहे तुम्हाला ॲन्युअल पॉईंट ऑफ व्ह्यू ऑल्सो. सो यू गो थ्रू दिस. थँक्यू.